Hi, I'm Heidi,
I'm Mazen.
and today we're going to talk about an alternative assessment we took in Dr. Mehabeli's Digital Literacies course at AUC.
Basically, it was an assignment to create a narrative game. It sort of came out as a choose your own adventure style story that was supposed to be educational.
There were no restrictions on topics. We decided to do something about sensationalism in the media, which is always a big problem, but especially so when we did it in 2021 because of COVID.
Because we completed the project in steps, first we played some other narrative games in class, then a few more on our own so we could get an idea of what we'd be working on. We reflected on the experience and then started doing work on our own project.
We were given some sites to work with, and we ended up choosing Google Slides. We slowly started to plan out where we wanted to take the narrative, and before we really got into it, we tested it with other classmates. We got the go-ahead and then really started working on it.
We ended up telling the story from the point of view of an editor working at a news publication. You go through 5 days as the editor and you're given different prompts that impact your integrity or your popularity as a paper. Those were the stats you worked with, and depending on your choices, either of them could drop to 0, which makes you lose the game and have to start over.
And this wasn't a simple game either. It might begin with asking something simple like, is this headline sensationalized and do you want to publish it anyway? But by the end, you got to the parts where they were asking, okay, do you want to compromise your journalistic ethics or get fired?
The final product is something we're both very impressed with, and it's something we can say we're proud to have made. Especially as a final project, it's something that took a lot of work, but it's going to be a lot more memorable than a test or a paper.
Personally, I'm really proud of the story we came up with and all the different endings you could end up at based on your choices. As far as it goes in terms of assessments, I thought the project was great. I grab at any opportunity to be creative in university and do something new. It's always those projects that I do the best on and I work the hardest on.
It was refreshing to have something that wasn't extremely high stakes project, especially at a time when we were drowning in a lot of stressful projects. The format of it let me learn something without being super stressed, and I end up delivering something I'm proud of. But since it was also a relatively open topic, I also wanted to deliver something good because I was allowed to pick something I was interested in and didn't have it forced on me as a topic.
Yeah, because we spent hours on this, from developing the story to checking and double checking all the links and then making sure it looked nice while still being educational and entertaining. Hours is an understatement for how much work we put into this.
Because at the same, but at the same time, I'm glad we had the opportunity to do it. It was something I was interested in because I'm in computer engineering. Sensationalism is not necessarily a topic in my field.
I major in English and communications, so I'm a little closer, but the whole process still took a lot more research, and I did learn a lot doing it. But I don't regret any of it. And if I got the opportunity to make another game for another class like this, I would absolutely do it again. I'd jump at the chance.
Yeah, I think it was because it was low stakes, even though it was heavy. It was fun, and the final product is something we both will talk about randomly in conversation.
So it's something that was super memorable.
So that was our experience with the assessment. Glad we were able to talk about it.
Thanks for the opportunity.
Hi, I'm Abby. I have recently graduated in Business Management from Aston University in Birmingham, England. As part of my degree, I completed a business ethics module. The assessment for this module was a written essay and a 10-minute debate. For the debate element of this module, we were given a list of 6 movies, and we had to choose a theme or scenario from one of the films. My topic for this debate explored the film Simon Anstel's Carnage and some of the issues surrounding industrial farming. The in-class learning for this module very much enabled us to develop the skills for the assessment and was an engaging module to take with lots of in-class debates. This was an open book assessment and we were encouraged to bring lots of resource with us to the assessment. The ability to find information quickly, to make decisions and to steer the direction of the conversation are skills that I have used regularly in my employment since graduating.
Hi there everyone, my name is Annelies Snoer and I am from Johannesburg, South Africa, where I work as a paramedic in the critical care retrieval division for our company. I have also recently completed a fully online postgrad diploma in emergency care through the University of Cape Town, and I think that online learning is definitely the way forward from now. For me, as a critical care paramedic, I studied a short course to become a paramedic through a school for paramedics, which was a year long. And in the past, for us to progress in our career, strengthen our education or employability, we had to resign from our place of work to go and study 4 years for a degree, and that is full time. And a lot of us don't have the means or didn't have the means to do that because we have bills and families, and unfortunately life goes on even if you're a student or not. So we never had the opportunity to study further unless you were lucky enough to be able to resign and study full time for 4 years. And then last year we got the opportunity, I think it's the first time in 2 decades, that we got the opportunity to study full time online, which means we could complete our studies, get a postgrad, and or do all this while we are working. Which made it possible for us to further our careers, get more skills and knowledge, and eventually improve our patient treatment. What was also very nice about this course is that we were different students from different disciplines in healthcare. So we were paramedics with different qualifications, as well as doctors and nurses. And then most of us were from different parts of South Africa, from very rural areas to very suburban areas, and also other students from different parts of Africa and other parts of the country. And this helped us to learn from each other because we all did stuff differently in different areas. We also had different years of experience, and we could learn from each other, learn from each other's experience, as well as we had the chance to collaborate with one another during group assignments that were set out for us on the student platform while we were studying. So I think definitely online studying is the way forward. It will help a lot of people that are not able to go and study full-time at a university. And I'm very excited about online studying. Thank you very much for taking time to listen to my story and my journey, and I am happy to answer any questions that you have. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Nicholas Karpluk. I'm a secondary school English language arts and visual arts teacher in Kamloops, BC. I'm currently finishing my Master of Arts in Interdisciplinary Studies through Athabasca University in Canada. I've been asked to speak with you today because throughout my master's, I've decided to do a lot of my assessments through a creative or alternative means. I've taken my passion for comic books, pop culture, superheroes, and instead of writing essays or written texts, I've instead spliced comic books into written works, or I've done my essays as comic books. And what I've done is I've taken existing images or images that I've drawn myself, and I've put narration and dialogue in addressing the topic or the question in the course that I'm doing. This has evolved over time, but it's quite a laborious process, as creative projects tend to be. They're way more work than just doing kind of the cookie cutter model essay, I've found anyways. And it's quite fruitful and rewarding, and I've really enjoyed the process, but it's not an easy process. And what I've done is I've taken pages and pages upon notes and quotes and different things that I wanted to include in the comic book, and I've tried to boil them down to something that you would say in 4 or 5 paragraphs you need to say in 4 or 5 lines of text. So it simplifies it and it pares it down, but it also sometimes gets to the heart of the matter more quickly and makes the text more accessible to people who wouldn't typically read an essay. And my friends, I give a comic book and then they learn something about world literature. So I did this in a number of courses. I did this in a cultural studies course, a grief and trauma course, and in a world literature course, among others. And for example, what this looks like is I have taken the text or the images from a Spider-Man comic, and then I have had a discussion with Spider-Man between Spider-Man and his villains on whether Spider-Man should be considered world literature. So as he is fighting his villains, he is having an argument, and they're arguing that he should not be considered world literature, and he's arguing that he should be world literature. So it takes into account the imagery as well. It's not just an essay displayed over imagery, but they go back and forth in a symbiotic relationship. Much more difficult to do and a lot of work, but very enjoyable, and I'm really proud of what I produced.
Hello, hi, my name is Ebony Simmons, and I am a general studies major here at Howard Community College in Columbia, Maryland. The alternative assessment method that's used in my class is the ungrading labor-based blocks, and that's used in my English 121 class. I really resonate with it, one, because it is an online class, and so I feel that the self-paced nature of an online class really does pair well with kind of the ungrading method. And then secondly, comparatively speaking, with my other classes, I do like that the focus is on the labor and the work, not necessarily the assessment of that work, which is what I'm so used to. And I like that that's intentional and ingrained in the curriculum, and it makes for a stress-free semester as well. So far, everything's been really great.
Good morning, everyone. I am Abraham Limpiada, and I am currently a master's student at the University of the Philippines Open University, or UPOU. I am here to share my experiences on alternative assessment. In one of my subjects, last academic year, we were asked to create an OER, or an open educational resource, as our final requirement, or somewhat equivalent to a final exam for this subject. This subject is called Scientific and Technical Communication. For this final requirement, we were asked to create a video about a specific topic. For our group, we were asked to create an OER about the role and importance of science in policymaking. For this OER, or for this requirement, of course, there was a criteria um, that was used for this output to be assessed. It includes content or substance, argument, structure, grammar, and general presentation, analysis and synthesis of ideas, or originality of thought, and lastly, the use of literature and pertinent sources. So those were the criteria that were used um, to assess our output. And of course, part of the assessment, or part of our grade for that specific requirement, is to give feedback to our peers on how they contributed to the work or to the output. So um, it was very difficult or somewhat challenging, because we're not here in the Philippines. We're somewhat used to objective type of exams, such as let's say multiple choice exams. But in this case, we're asked to create an output based on what we've learned about certain concepts and theories about scientific and technical communication, and at the same time, research about a specific topic and create a report about it, or an OER about it, with a specific audience in mind. So just to give you a clearer picture of our output, here's the YouTube video, or the OER that we've developed or created from that subject. So it's around 8 minutes long, and the topic is about the role and importance of science in policymaking. That is somewhat contextualized, um, based on the situation here in the Philippines, that is related to the COVID-19 pandemic and response. So I will be providing a link to this video, to our output, so that we'll have more idea about this specific requirement for that subject that we took last academic year. With that, I hope that my inputs, or um, my video, will give you an idea and more information about alternative assessments. Thank you.
Hello everyone, and welcome to my short little presentation on how I created a meme as part of an assignment. My name is Shanaz Mohammed. I'm a clinical nursing instructor at the University of El-Khoury in Qatar. At the same time, I'm doing my master's in health education and behavior, and this was part of my master's course. So when I was given this assignment, I went through different stages, and these are the stages I went through. Initially, there was a sense of helplessness and hopelessness, and I thought, what is a meme? And how am I going to create one? I have no clue. The second thing I did was, okay, let me reach out, let me get some help, and that's what I did. The third thing is trusting in myself. And the fourth and the last stage I went through was, wow, once I completed it, this journey. So during my research, I thought, okay, enough is enough. Let me just get started. Let me stop talking about it and just begin doing. And by the end, this is my first meme that I created. And I'm going to let you take a few seconds to look at it and just sort of figure out what topic I was talking about and what was a message in this meme that I was conveying to my audience. So what did I learn from this interesting assessment that I had? Number one, hate can turn into love. Secondly, when I started talking about it, there was quite a buzz of excitement with other instructors as well, and myself too. I started thinking, this would be a great way with our students who have English as a second or third language, and how amazing to use visual imagery to try and express or convey a message. Number three, you know what? Do not judge until you've tried it first. And number four, and the most important lesson was, do not fear technology. Technology is amazing. It's not just for generation X, Y, and Z. It is for generation everyone. What better way than to use a meme to express how I felt?
Hi, my name is Abby Poston. I am a former student of Professor David Buck. I was in his English composition class last spring semester at Howard Community College, and I just wanted to say a couple things in regard to my personal experience with the ungrading policy. So to start, I have never had a course with the ungrading policy, and I just want to say, as a student that has been through it now, I am very much in favor for it and found it to be extremely beneficial. To start, I have always been a average, maybe a slightly above average student. I got mainly B's, some C's, a couple A's, in my middle school, high school, and college career the first time. Now going back to college as an adult in my 30s, I, do a lot better because basically I work and go to school, and that is what my life is. But you appreciate more than this time around. But I have always felt pressure of, from my teachers, fellow peers, along with myself, that, grades and points are the most important thing, and that you need to get X amount of points to get, an A, X amount of points to get a B, that there's a spoken as well as unspoken feel to it. And it kind of takes away from the learning experience. I can remember feeling so much anxiety and stress about, will I get a B in this class? If I don't get, 3 15 out of 20s on the next 4 assignments or whatever, that I'm not going to get the grade that I need. And then I ended up focusing so much time and energy worrying about that rather than what about I was learning and what I should have been doing. And it kind of just took away from everything. So I felt like this class was a breath of fresh air because it gave me the time and the energy to focus on my assignments and what I should be doing rather than stressing and obsessing about grades. I felt kind of peace and at ease doing these assignments and was able to give them my undivided attention. And I think that that's the most important, that we're supposed to be gaining the knowledge and, challenging ourselves as students. And it can be kind of hard to do that when you feel this unnecessary weight on your shoulders about grades. Yes, I think grades are important to some degree, but do I think that they're the most important? No. Do I think that they can sometimes accurately reflect a person's knowledge abilities all the way? No, I don't. I think, there's so many different kinds of learners in the world. Not everyone is a test taker or a paper writer or can read something and then recite it right back to you. Some people are hands on. Some people need to read something, then write it down, or there's so many different styles and techniques. And I feel like ungrading is more inclusive, all around inclusive in that sense. Like it welcomes and can fit in everyone that's in different learning style categories, rather than kind of favor those that are, kind of your typical straight, like, I don't want to say like straight A students, but those that are, know the system. So I personally found a lot of growth in this course with this policy. I did appreciate that Professor Buck allowed us to, instead of the grades, he would give us feedback and constructive criticism, not even criticism, but, if there was parts of papers or assignments that, we didn't meet the criteria or weren't, exactly our strong suit, he would kind of come back with what we needed to do and solutions of how to improve our work, that he allotted us the chance to take that feedback, apply it to our paper, and resubmit it again. So there was kind of like no way to fail unless you just really weren't trying or really didn't care. And that I think is better than, marking wrong, or, if it's like a test or an assignment, you're just writing wrong, and writing the right answer, but not explaining why or giving, a more in-depth reasoning or solution. It's not really helpful. So with this class, like just all the things and components together, with the ungrading policy, just really helped me. And I can imagine that there's so many other students out there in a similar boat, and I think that they can very much well benefit from this as well. I ended up getting, I think, 100% in the class, and I felt very confident in my work as the semester went on, and I could see the growth from my first paper to my last paper, and just not having that pressure again of the grades, I felt really helped me and allowed me to give my undivided attention into what I needed to be doing as a student. So that I will greatly appreciate and carry on. I hope this helps, and I will answer any questions if needed. Thank you so much.
Hey, my name is Patricia McDonald. I live in Vancouver, Canada, a city that is located on the unceded and occupied territories of the Coast Salish people. I am pursuing a Master's of Arts in Interdisciplinary Studies with a focus on equity studies through Athabasca University. In a course I was taking in the winter semester of 2021, the course was entitled Cultural Politics in a Time of Pandemic and Climate Change. We were looking at the convergence of multiple crises that we had been witnessing in 2021. Crises such as the global pandemic, climate change, and racial inequities and struggles for equity throughout the world. So for this project, we were given the opportunity to either submit an academic paper or an artistic creation of our own. And that really appealed to me because during the course, I had been thinking a lot about how academic writing, traditional academic writing, replicates or upholds colonial systems that academia is based, has been built on, with the Euro or the Western focus that is still very prevalent in academia. And I also didn't want to write something that would sit in that nebulous space between myself and my instructor. I wanted to create something with meaning for myself, and meaning within the relationships that are most important to me. One of those relationships is the relationship I have with my grandson. So I decided to write an illustrated children's book for a small child. I chose the concept of breath because I felt that this would tie together these multiple crises that we had been standing as witnesses to, and would allow my grandson and I to communicate, to relate on a level that was meaningful for both of us. I was also able to present the book at the grad student conference offered by Athabasca in the fall of 2021. I'd like to share a few images from this book, which was originally written in Spanish because that is my grandson's his first language. I did translate it into English so that my professor would be able to read it and grade me on it. This is the book. You can see that I've used avatars of ourselves so that my grandson was able to see himself reflected in the story. And I superimposed these avatars on sepia-toned photographs so that the characters would really stand out. And as you can also see, the book is written in the format of a very simple graphic novel. And here's Leo, the inspiration for this project.